Today we're getting into the details of helping other team members deal with conflict. We'll talk about what's unlikely to work, what you should focus on, and key steps to deal with conflict constructively. We're going to use all of this theory with 2 example cases so that you have practical advice. Hi, I'm Jenn Sandercock, and this is Jenn's Generally Good Game Production Advice. In this advice column, I respond to questions from game developers from all different disciplines. I'm a games producer who loves helping teams ship their games on time, on budget, with a happy team. Today's question is, as a producer, how should I encourage conflict resolution between different departments? The question has 2 specific examples given, but we're going to go into those when we're going to actually be able to answer those directly. So, conflict. It sucks, right? But do you know what's worse? People bottling it up and fuming about things and just not moving on. This can lead to constant niggling, stresses, and issues that can pop up in very unexpected places. In extreme cases, conflict can make your best team members quit or disengage from their work. Overall, when there's negative conflict, people, including those not actively in the conflict, won't do their best work. It will cause delays, and the game that you create at the end will be worse because of it. So, what do we do? Well, let's start with things that sound good on paper, but that I think are unlikely to get results based on my personal experiences. So, it doesn't work when someone says, "I'll try better next time." Well, I get it. We all want to believe that we can change, but changing your behaviors is really, really difficult. So we need to assume that we as humans are going to fail a lot as we go along, and we need to build this into our possible plans of action. It doesn't work when you focus on the differences, whether that's different personalities or different ways of doing things. It is important to recognize that we are different humans, but I've generally found this pushes people away from each other. Or at best, it becomes something that sounds like the equivalent of, well, Aries don't get along with Taurus. That is, it doesn't give you any indication on how to help an Aries and Taurus actually get along and work together. It doesn't work when people try to be friends. Look, not everybody has to be friends in a workplace, but they do need to know how they can work together. It doesn't work when you empower an individual to solve it on their own. It sounds like a good thing since you're using the word empowered, but the reality is that the individual is likely to feel abandoned. And also, if they could have solved it on their own, then surely they would have, and they wouldn't be asking for help from you. It doesn't work if you tell person A that person B won't change and therefore person A needs to change themselves. Everyone needs to make adjustments to work together. If one person is becoming an issue for multiple team members and they won't change and they won't come to the table, then you need to figure out how to remove that person if possible. It doesn't work when you allow people to speak in ways that are suitable for their personal culture, but that do not match the team's work culture. As a team, you need to agree on what is and is not acceptable languages and ways of speaking. Once you know that, it needs to be enforced. You can't have exceptions for things such as the boss is allowed to yell, but juniors are not. So what should you focus on? Well, focus on the work itself, how each person contributes, and creating a shared vision of success. Focus on curiosity. Through curiosity, we can understand other people's perspectives and open ourselves to unexpected solutions. Focus on considering what the problem you as the mediator are actually trying to solve. Why is it bad that there's conflict? Is it time-consuming, disheartening for the rest of the team? Are you creating a game with mismatched styles? Is there something else going on? This will help you focus on what needs to change and also might help you try to find some solution pathways. Focus on creating a series of conversations that might go on for months. This isn't going to be a one and done meeting. You'll need to have conversations with the group, with individuals. You'll create plans of action, and then you need to follow up on these to assess the success of these plans. You should focus on making sure every team member feels heard and that their feelings are respected. You may not have an answer or a quick fix, but let each person know that you will work with them for as long as it takes and you will make it a priority. What's next? Well, I love this book called Powerful Phrases for Dealing with Workplace Conflict by Karen Hurt and David Dye. In it, they detail the 4 C's, aka the key stages of constructive conflict. Those stages are 1. Connection. Do we know each other as human beings, and do you know yourself? 2. Clarity. Do we have a shared understanding of success? 3. Curiosity. Are we genuinely interested in other perspectives and what's possible? 4. Commitment. Do we have a clear agreement on what's next? The book also has a series of super useful go-to questions and phrases that you can use that will match each phase. You should buy the book to take a look at these. No, this isn't an ad. I just really like their approach and I don't want to give away all of their secrets. So now we have a plan on how to talk about things. But before you bring people into a meeting, talk to each person individually to make sure you fully understand their concerns and perspectives. Determine whether it will be safe to hold a meeting with you and the people involved. Make sure all individuals are genuinely ready for change and discussion. There's no point going into a conversation if it's unlikely to improve the situation. Let's look at the 2 cases that were given to me in the initial question. First up, my company has 2 art directors. One leads environment art and the other character art, but they disagree constantly on the overall art style. So let's apply the 4 C's. Connection. See if each person can understand the other person's perspectives. This means getting them to say things like, "It sounds like you're feeling blank. Is that right?" And "Tell me more." I love that one. Help the art directors recognize that the conflict is happening because they're both passionate about creating a visually stunning game. If one of them didn't care, then there wouldn't be any arguments. Clarity. Ask them, what would success look like? Is it a more detailed art Bible that doesn't allow for different interpretations? Is it a beautiful corner showcasing the shared vision? Is it a clear set of steps that need to be followed when making art decisions? For example, feedback phases, team voting, meetings, etc. Is it a chart that specifies all art director tasks and responsibilities and then details which of the 2 individuals is in charge of each task? This can be useful if the conflict is happening because they are both trying to do the exact same tasks and they keep stepping on each other's toes. Is success promoting one of them to lead art director for this game? Or is it some combination of all of these things? Get the art directors to reflect on how and when they are arguing, including what types of issues are the ones that cause the most disagreements. How is this affecting the rest of the team? You can come up with plans that sound great on paper, but at some point there's going to be an exception or something unexpected will come up. So ask the art directors, when you can't agree on a decision, how will you escalate? Curiosity. Encourage them to be genuinely curious to find out what's going on. If they're starting to argue, stop them from speaking. Then, check you've understood both of their perspectives. For each of them, say, "What I'm hearing is blank. What have I missed? What would you add?" This will help de-escalate and get back on track with the conversation. And if it doesn't work, take a time out and schedule the next meeting. Ask each of the art directors what they want you to do to help out, and step back when it looks like they'll be able to continue solving on their own without you. Commitment. If no plan of action has been created at the end of a meeting, schedule a follow-up conversation within the next week to go over the next steps. If you have created a plan of action, assign steps to owners. Then schedule a conversation to check in on how the plan is going and what needs to change or be improved. And here is our second example. My engineering director is very stubborn and doesn't want to take feedback from the art directors that certain tools are too difficult to use by the artists, especially VFX. Okay, let's apply our 4 C's again. Connection. Start by talking just with the engineering director so that they can recognize that the artists aren't just venting and they are not making it up. Find out why the engineering director isn't listening to the artists. Is there a history that's causing biases and assumptions to take over? Be genuinely curious and don't go in accusing the engineering director of being a bad person. Accusation won't go down well and it's just going to cause them to get defensive and you're not going to find out anything. Work with the engineering director until they are willing to genuinely listen to the artists. Next, get the engineering director to watch the artists actually using the tools via screen sharing. That way, the engineering director will be able to directly see what's going on and that will hopefully open up their eyes to why they should listen to the artists. Clarity. Now get everyone on a call or perhaps just a representative from the artists or just the art directors and ask, what does success look like? Is success less time to create art assets and or VFX? More features in the tools, less features, improved UI UX, better training for the artists, or is it something else? This will help the engineering director focus on a plan of action to address what's going on. Curiosity. Encourage the engineering director to ask questions with genuine curiosity. For example, why do you do things that way? Have you tried doing this thing instead? What's one thing that would help you save time? Make sure the engineering director watches their tone, since all of those questions can come across very badly if the tone is off. Commitment. Once the engineering director has recognized the issues, give them some time to come up with a plan of action. Schedule a follow-up call where the engineering director details their plan and confirms ordering priorities with the artist. Some final thoughts. A lot of this discussion was about you helping others on your team work through conflict. But when you're in the conflict yourself, you can also apply the 4 C's of connection, clarity, curiosity, and commitment. Conflict is not always bad. If there is no conflict, it might mean that your team is disengaged with the game and the development as a whole. Conflict can help teams innovate and a whole lot more. But when it starts destroying morale and causing team members to be incapable of working together, then it can have disastrous effects. Encourage your team to be open about small issues so you can deal with them when they're still small. Ask everyone to be genuinely curious about other people's issues and perspectives and be willing to work towards a better way of dealing with disagreements. Keep focused on what success looks like and make sure there's a shared vision of success. And finally, don't forget to follow up. Most issues will take plenty of iteration to find the best solution. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you for joining me. Remember, this is generally good advice and it may not be right for you and your team, even if you're the person who asked the question. If you want some advice about game development and production, ask me. Just go to jensan.com/askjen. And finally, don't forget to like and subscribe so that I know that there's some of you out there listening and enjoying this content. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.